Yeah. So last stream, as you guys remember, Sarada tried to Chidori Ryu, and she said it was shallow after Ryu like disassimilated his body. We all remember this, right? During the fight, yeah? Or it was actually 2 chapters ago, but you get the idea. Yeah. And so then we had a conversation with Mello, and we clipped a video about it. And that's this video. Stop saying you made Sarada's Chidori shallow, because some people were saying it's because Ryu did something. He disassimilated mid-strike or something. And then we're saying no, narratively it has to be that Sarada just wasn't resolved, wasn't thinking straight, wasn't thinking properly. The same reason that she and Yodo got them caught in the first place to get into this fight, because she was messing up. She was messing up her mission because she was thinking about Sumire, thinking about Boruto, she's thinking about all these other things, distractions that were messing her up, making her bad at her mission. And so Silva says, punch an intangible person, question mark. Yup, like always, simplification final boss can do same for anything. And no, she wasn't thinking only about Boruto. We see this later. She's thinking about a collective conflict and insecurities, not only Boruto, Mr. Simplification. So just immediately, it's just stupid how much he's attacking me when I'm literally defending it and making it better. Like, I'm saying Boruto is actually better than people are saying, but he's taking that as criticism.
Second,
Because I
the first
have
part
to
of this is
disagree.
awful English. Yep, like always, simplification, final boss can do same for anything. What?
He just
And
he's using like English memes like Final Boss.
I don't know, is he calling you the simplification final boss? And that you can do the same for
I think
anything?
so, yeah. Yeah, because simplification there, in my opinion, is that I'm only said that she's thinking about Boruto, when really she's thinking about more than just Boruto at that current moment. But that's my point, is that she's not going all out yet, like she does when she unlocks the Mangekyo and focuses and stops being bad at her mission, because she stops daydreaming and all the other stuff that she's doing. Everything that Mitsuki gave her the side eye for.
Yeah, but all that stuff had to do with Boruto. It's Sumire Boruto, sure, but it's about Boruto.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but no, we're awful because we said she's only thinking about Boruto, so we ruined the story, by the way.
Yeah, God forbid, we didn't mention Sumire.
It's about Boruto, but the catalyst is Sumire.
Exactly. The point is that it
So
was
the
about
second part
all
of
about
this,
Boruto.
exactly. But he continues by saying, what wasn't part of her character again? Her conflicting beliefs and relationship or goals? What? Yup, like always, rage bait.
I mean, technically they're not wrong. You do rage bait sometimes, not in this
Well,
case.
her goals, yeah, become Okage, but like her conflicting beliefs. What conflicting beliefs is she referring to? Because they weren't part of her character before Nuclear Vortex. So. If he's talking about the ones Yodo mentioned, that shit was not in part one.
Yeah. And so I respond, bro, what? So what do you think her Chidori was shallow because of Sarada or Ryu? Like, which one is it? So I could have said way more, but I wanted to keep it as simple as possible for that. And then he responds, because of Ryu, he literally dematerializes his whole state of being. Imagine Sasuke hitting Suigetsu and saying and says it's shallow, then you come and whine, laughing emoji. That was the stupidest analogy example he could have done.
Okay. So
Stupid.
he's saying it's because of Ryu, but you were saying that would be cool plot wise, but narratively, it has to be because of Sarada narrative, because otherwise there's no narrative to that otherwise, essentially. Like if it's just Ryu
Exactly.
being
Exactly.
good, that's all plot, no story, not even connecting the two. So he doesn't like the
Exactly.
story then.
So you hit the nail on the hammer there. That's exactly how I would say it. It's just if anything, you should connect the plot and story and say it's both. But first and foremost, the priority is the narrative. The story's telling you Sarada's messing up. She hasn't gone all out yet. This is her character flaw. That's why this happened.
Exactly. And now,
The thing that really
ideally,
matters
it
here.
would have to be written. And this isn't. I mean, the best way to connect it would be not what's literally said in the story. You'd have to extrapolate a little bit more. But basically, they know Ryu's doing this, and let's just say there's like a time thing where Sarada has 1 second to get Ryu, but let's just say he can it's kind of like Pain's cooldown. Okay, 5 second cooldown thing. You know when at the end of the fight when he's counting down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, and Naruto gets him just before or whatever, all that stuff. It would have to be a
Yeah.
similar thing to where they're counting down, like Mitsuki's counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Sarada barely misses the countdown because of her daydreaming. Now you've tied both Ryu being cool and Sarada messing up. But they didn't do that. I just made the fight cooler by saying this.
Exactly. And so, especially the funniest part to me is that he ends this by saying that I'm whining, when once again, I'm looking beyond the shallowness of only power scaling, which is the perspective he's looking at, and I'm including the narrative and saying, actually, everyone else is wrong because everyone else is making it worse, and I'm saying it's actually better than you guys are saying. The 1 in a million time I say two blue vortex is better than what other people think.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't whining because you were literally just saying this is what makes that scene good.
Whining is insane here. It is unhinged. It's so
Also,
hilarious, bro.
there's zero narrative interpretation of what you're talking about because it doesn't exist. So he admits Boruto has no story, has no narrative.
Exactly, I love it, bro. Like, did he not read the story? I don't understand. Did he just not read the Sumire conversation? Did he not read Sarada unlocking her Mangekyo and saying that she's not gonna hold back anymore, and everything in between? Did she not read Yodo and
Well,
Sarada messing up the mission, Michi giving her the side eye,
the
Sarada
answer is
not
yes
hearing?
because
Hold on, bro.
I see plenty of comments of people they don't like a lot of the narrative. Whenever the story's doing narrative-y things, they always seem to be complaining about it because they're just and honestly, so comparing this to Kodachi, this is kind of a prop to Kodachi. I think I don't consider this a problem personally because I hate to toot my own horn, but I'm capable of understanding story a little bit better than some of these people. But the issue with Ikimoto's thing is that when he writes narrative, it's all narrative and the plot is boring. But the narrative's really good, but the plot's boring. Conversely, when he writes all plot, the plot makes no sense and that there is no narrative. So the plot junkies, they're getting their plot even if it makes no sense, but they're getting that when he gets the narrative. Kodachi did a better job of combining the two in a way that the plot junkies are still enjoying it, the narrative junkies are still enjoying it. It's actually cohesive. Is the thing he connected the two so that like there is no reason you couldn't complain about it being, hey, we just get past the love stuff. 'Cause you were always doing things at the same time. Ikimoto's just, that's one or the other. When it's the plot, it never makes sense.
Yeah.
That's his problem.
And exactly. It's just insane. So for me, I just don't understand. Like, it feels like people just want Sarada to be this almighty Sharingan god, literally the sun goddess, who even at her worst, she's at her peak. But then that takes away from her unlocking her Mangekyo here and being overpowered. Like they don't want her to have a flaw, but then the whole point is that she's overcoming her flaw and becoming better. It's the same thing that Itachi fanboys have, to where they just want to praise him from the very jump, the very get go. Yeah, he was actually right for slaughtering the Uchiha clan. It doesn't matter that he said later that he's wrong. Itachi's peaked from beginning to end. He doesn't change. He's 10 out of 10. Like the whole point is that he's overcoming his flaw. Same with Sarada here.
Exactly. Like, but when he shows Sasuke the truth as a note of Tensei, that's him coming full circle, overcoming the flaw that he never told Sasuke, and he never showed him any of that. That's why he's saying, like, finally, I will now finally do this. It literally tells you the
Exactly.
mistake
And
verbatim.
so I ask him, what do you think the point of Sarada's character is here, coming out of the Sumire conversation, going into the Yodo conversation, in reference to
I'm guessing that's what
when she
this
awakens her
next
Mangekyo?
one,
So
white,
basically
is.
everything in between, the refight.
This is the white
Yeah, that's the
okay.
next one here. Um, Yeah, yep. Did you want to read this, or do you want me to read this?
I'll read it. Actually, I'll just let you read it because it's your thing.
Okay. So, so it says, it's ridiculous. Sarada's character arc extends beyond Boruto. And he says, Mangekyo equals village protection and Hokage ambition. So, oh, yeah, I was Mr. Simplification over here. I just left that out. I wasn't even
So real
considering
quick.
that. Oh, I
So
made it
real
so much worse.
quick. So real quick. I understand Yodo makes no sense, and I will forever be the one to say this. But if we're gonna take the manga at face value, he's just wrong. You're allowed to use it for and only for Boruto, that special person in your life. So no, it doesn't equal village protection Hokage ambition. It equals Boruto and only Boruto.
Yo, Ood, can you re-add me on my phone once I leave?
Probably.
Because I'm gonna leave, switch over to my phone. My dog has to go outside one more time.
Okay. Yeah, but so I thought it's funny that he is listing Sarada's character, but then saying the reason that her Chidori was shallow is not because of her character. It's because of Ryu making it de-assimilated or
Well,
whatever.
first
It's
of all, he says
ridiculous
the
to even
shallow
say that, but
critique.
whatever.
It wasn't a critique. It
Ugh.
was an analysis. Well, you weren't even critiquing that, were you? I don't remember what you said exactly, but the part we're discussing wasn't a critique.
No, it was not a critique at all. Nor was I whining. I was justifying Boruto by saying others aren't going far enough. I'm critiquing Silva, if anything.
And he says, if
I
you're
think I was
arguing she
critiquing
should have hit
Mello
an
and Black
intangible enemy
Uchiha.
harder, if you're not criticizing the story, you're ignoring its rules. Well, no, he is criticizing the story. He's saying that the plot and story aspects should be more connected in that case. Just rewrite the rules to make it that way.
Also,
But
I
here's
love
the
that he's
problem.
saying
This is
that
the
when.
problem with people like Silver, real quick. I'm looking, you're ignoring its rules. These people, excuse my language, fucking retarded. Ikimoto writes the rules. They're looking at the current rules, and when we retroactively say the rules don't make sense to how XYZ should be in the story, they're like, well, the rules are this. Dumbass! Ikimoto can make different rules to make the story make sense. It's not like he's banned for. He writes the rules. He doesn't have to use the dumb rules. Just do better rules. Like, how stupid are you? No offense.
Yeah, I also love that we're ignoring the rules. What rules? There's no rules written. The only thing that's said is that he can disassimilate, and we're not told anything else in regard to anything at all.
He literally didn't write rules for it. Sarada hit him. He wasn't intangible. He was tangibly hit. Just shallowly.
Yeah, I love that. I love that he's saying that we're ignoring the rules when he's saying that he's an intangible enemy instead of an enemy that can disassimilate himself. He just isn't an intangible enemy. That's not how that works.
Exactly.
Why is that?
You're ignoring the rules of anything. Also,
I hate that he
legit
thinks
gives
that
To
you
be
a
anyway.
fair, that might
callback
be
to
language
Naruto Next
barrier, but that's
Generations
giving
where
him
she
benefit of the
said if
doubt.
she can't protect her loved ones, not only Boruto, by the way, what's the point of being Hokage? She doesn't, at least
Let's
not
do
word
this one
for
more
word
time.
of what he says. She doesn't say that anywhere.
By the way, let's just remember what she says. She doesn't say, "Oh man, my Chidori didn't hit because he disassimilated." She's saying my Chidori did hit. My Chidori hit him, and it was shallow. It was a shallow hit of which I did hit him. My Chidori hit him, and it was shallow. So she missed, is what she's saying. Not that he did something, but that her hit was off.
So real quick, he says gives you a callback. I'm looking at the flashback. She doesn't say what he said. So now let's look at the only other scene that it could conceivably be, which is in chapter 69 when she's talking to Mitsuki. And if she doesn't say it there, he's just objectively wrong, like usual. Um, so she mentions wanting to become Hokage, but uh yeah, they need to become Otsutsuki level to be fit to become Hokage. That's what she says. Not whatever he wrote.
Mm.
I mean, I'm not saying this isn't generally close to the meaning, but like, that's not what she said. And it doesn't give you a callback to this because this scene isn't in the flashback. So
That's
Silva,
insane. So yeah,
I
I
don't care if
just
you
the
think
podcast
we're
topic here
funny.
is Silva's an
We're
idiot.
not the only ones because so are you.
Yeah, so shout out Silva. Silva's an idiot. That's all I can say.
Very much. With that out of the